So for those of you that haven't heard, Isaiah Hartenstein did leave the Knicks in free agency. He signed a 3-year deal worth $87 million with the Oklahoma City Thunder, meaning that the New York Knicks will be without their starting center next season. Here's what Hartenstein had to say about playing for the Knicks. Quote, "New York City, thank you for taking my family in and making my time there so special. Every time I went out on the court, I always gave it my all for the city, and I felt the love right back. New York City will always have a special place in my heart," end quote. The Knicks did offer Hartenstein the full 4-year, $72.5 million deal, which he declined, and rightfully so. He's going to be making $29 million annually with the Thunder. In 2024-25, guess who makes more money, Hartenstein or Jalen Brunson? The answer is Hartenstein, $30.5 million, Brunson $24.9 million. I know there's going to be Knicks fans watching this that are going to say, oh my god, the Thunder overpaid. I'm so glad we didn't re-sign him. And to be honest with you, you're not wrong. That is absolutely pricey, and the Knicks just couldn't afford that by any means. But at the same time, Hartenstein, his impact cannot be overstated. He was the second most important player on our roster last season after OG got hurt, of course, after Randall got hurt, Mitch Robinson, guys were just getting banged up and not playing. And here comes Hartenstein, 49 starts, 25 minutes per game, 8 points, 8 rebounds, a block and a steal, shoots 64% from the field, 1.25 points per possession in the pick and roll with Jalen Brunson. Remember in Game 6 in Philly when we closed them out in their own building? Hartenstein made 4 floaters. Overall in that series, 13 for 20. That's 65%. Brunson and Hartenstein were the perfect fit because of his ability to make quick decisions, to handle the ball, to pass the ball. His IQ was off the charts for a center. And on top of that, something that doesn't get talked about by basketball fans, but especially Knicks fans, is that Hartenstein's an elite defender. When he was the closest defender, 6 feet up the basket, team shot 52.3%. Now you're probably thinking, okay, what does that mean? Well, that's a better mark than Victor Wembanyama, Anthony Davis, Joel Embiid, and Jarrett Allen. Overall, that's 6th in the NBA among 95 qualifying players who contested at least 3 shots a game. So Hartenstein, statistically speaking, was an elite rim protector. And we know that Coach Tibbs values that. That's how he builds his defense. So don't expect the Knicks to bring in a center that can't do that. It's just simply not going to happen, which is why Mitch is going to be our starter. And then we'll see about the backup. Jericho Sims, his option was picked up. But basically the point is that Hartenstein was an unbelievable defender. He was also unbelievably good on offense. The reason why the Knicks were unstoppable often at times offensively was because of Hartenstein. Teams would trap Brunson, he kicks it to Hartenstein, and then Hartenstein makes a perfect read, right? Mitchell Robinson can't do that. He cannot do that. And that's something that the Knicks and their fans especially that are watching this video have to understand, is that Mitch offensively, yeah, he can rebound, he can catch lobs, but he doesn't have what Hartenstein can provide, which is why it's important that the Knicks, of course, go out there and bring in an offensive-minded center to have behind Mitch. But Mitch's defense is what excites me, right? If he can stay healthy, I mean, Game 1 against Philadelphia, Joel Embiid, who I think is the most dominant player in the NBA when healthy, shot 2 of 11 when guarded by Mitchell Robinson, 7 points, 0 of 3 from 3. If that Mitchell Robinson can stay healthy during a season, the Knicks could have, I'm not going to say the best defensive center in basketball, because that would be Victor Wembanyama. Anthony Davis is certainly a better defender than Mitchell Robinson, but he's right up there with those guys, and that's something valuable. I mean, Mitch grabbed 17% of the Knicks' missed shots while he was on the court last season. That would have been second in the league if he had enough games to qualify. So the first 21 games when Mitch was healthy, he was averaging 5.3 offensive rebounds per game, which is just absurd. That led the NBA by a wide margin. 21 games to start the season before that injury, 10 boards a game, 1.5 steals, just about 1.5 blocks. I mean, Mitch was crushing it. He was playing the best ball of his career. He was doing a good job of finishing around the basket, setting good screens, and then he was gone basically just about as we saw him breaking out. So the biggest question mark for the Knicks right now is 100% Mitchell Robinson, and what do they get out of him and his health next season? Because if Mitch gets injured, the Knicks aren't winning the championship. It's as simple as that, guys. Unless we bring in another piece via trade or free agency, and that guy ends up being the missing piece, right? He ends up being sort of like an Isaiah Hartenstein. That absolutely is possible, but to me, if we're beating Philly, if we're beating Boston, if we're going to beat any of those teams in the West, we need a healthy Mitchell Robinson, because he truly is the icing on the cake, and that's exactly what we want out of him. But in terms of other options, Precious Achiuwa is the first player that we need to talk about. Jericho Sims is already under contract, so we're going to be seeing him next season. Whether or not that's in a big role or not remains to be seen, but January 20, we go back to that game against the Raptors. Achiuwa was averaging less than 12 minutes over his first 10 games with the Knicks. He ends up putting up 18 points, 9 of 10 from the field, 11 boards, double-double in a 126-100 win over the Toronto Raptors. At that point, Hartenstein was injured. Mitchell Robinson and Julius Randle were injured, so Achiuwa essentially had to play. And man, did he show up in a big way. He ended up averaging 27 minutes in his final 38 games with the Knicks, showing that he was a very valuable piece to our rotation. In the playoffs as well, he stepped up and locked down Joel Embiid. Remember, he blocked that three-point shot, which I believe I did put in these highlights somewhere. Got you guys new clips, by the way. Smash the like button, man. Trying to switch it up, keep you guys as entertained as possible. I do think we're going to end up bringing back Achiuwa, and it was reported that the Knicks are leaving open the possibility of that. Of course, sure, the Knicks didn't end up doing what they did with Sims of giving him that $6 million or whatever. I think Sims is what, 2.5 at the top of my head, or 2.3, something like that. But that doesn't mean we can't bring him back, and we won't bring him back. Right now, we're just looking at all options. Achiuwa obviously is an undersized big. He's not really a center. He's more of a power forward. I think he'd be the perfect backup to Randle, if anything, and then we could go and bring in a center, or hey, we could just go with Sims as our backup. If you take a look at Jericho Sims and you take his efficiency, right? So he averaged 2 points and 3.3 rebounds per game. Over 100 possessions, that would be 7.9 points and 12.7 rebounds. Among bigs with more than 45 games played but fewer than 15 started in 2024, Sims's offensive production was the 3rd best, but his defensive production was the 11th worst. So it shows that Sims defensively is a turtle, right? He just is not a good defender, which is going to be really the reason why he probably isn't going to play much next season, because like I said in the beginning of the video, Tibbs values defensive rim protection as much as anything for his defense. That's how he builds man, bust my soap. That's how he builds his scheme. So it doesn't matter that we have Mikal Bridges and OG and Dante, guys that, even Josh Hart, that can fly around the perimeter and play good defense. You still need rim protection to be able to be a big for Coach Tibbs. So that could be developed. I mean, Sims can't be older than 25 years old, right? So it's a possibility. But what I think the Knicks are going to do is I think they're going to go after Goga. He's the best available center on the market right now. He's shot 60% from the field, over a block a game. The only thing is the Magic can offer him more money, so that's same thing with Hartenstein, is we want him, but we're probably not going to get him. Then I'd be looking at James Wiseman. I think Mo Wagner is going to end up going back to Orlando with his brother, Franz Wagner, Thomas Bryant, Mo Bamba, Drew Eubanks. Not very interested in Dario Saric. To me, personally, I would go get Precious Achiuwa, and then I would just keep Achiuwa, Sims, and Mitchell Robinson. Best case scenario would be, like I said, Goga. James Wiseman is a guy that provides a lot of upside, but I just don't know how the market's going to go. The Knicks don't have any money. For the Knicks to be a little bit more flexible, they'd have to put more money back to the Nets in that Bridges trade, but at the same time, we don't want to give up guys in our rotation, guys on our depth chart, because we want to be as balanced as possible. So I don't think the Knicks should even be looking to do that, which means that maybe they just pay Achiuwa, Sims, guys that were already here last season, Mitchell Robinson, hope he stays healthy. If for some reason Mitch does get injured, we could always make a trade, right? That's always in the realm possibility. We did draft a center in the 2nd round. I don't think we'll be seeing much of him because we know Tibbs doesn't like to develop young players. Right?